Jake here for American Trucks, and today I'm taking a look at the Red Rock cold air intake with a polished finish for 2009 to 2018 5.7 liter Ram 1500s. This Red Rock intake is a great option for the Ram owner who's looking for a simple way to get a little more sound and performance out of their truck, all for a very budget-friendly price tag. This is a bolt-in intake that does not require a tune. It's going to provide you similar benefits to the big name brands for one of the lowest prices in the segment. So what we've got here is actually a pretty nice little piece of kit. Now the filter itself is a reusable multi-layer oil design. So this is gonna do a really great job of filtering out dirt and dust, but it also makes maintenance easy. So you don't need to worry about replacing this. You can just clean it out, re-oil it when it gets dirty, and you're right back on the road. So it's good money savings in the long run, especially if you're planning on keeping your truck for a while. There is also a Venturi adapter that's included, and this is gonna help smooth out the airflow going into the intake tube. It's not something you see on every intake, so it's a really nice thing to see included here. You also get this polished aluminum intake tube, which feels pretty darn good in your hand. It's really nice and lightweight, and that's a little bit of visual interest to your engine bay as well. Now, I love a good intake honk. It's one of my favorite noises to come out of a truck. And intake noise like this is really great because these are really quiet when you're just cruising around town. So if you don't have your foot all the way in it, you're not gonna get a ton of noise. But when you absolutely mat it, you're gonna hear that engine pulling in all this air. It's a nice little bit of resonance, and I think you'll like it. If you haven't heard it before, definitely worth checking out. Now, speaking of interest, perhaps the most interesting part of this kit is that it also comes with a big old heat shield as well. That's a pleasant surprise to see included here, since many of these less expensive cold air intakes don't include a heat shield or box at all. So they aren't necessarily cold air intakes truly. But having this piece here means that your engine is going to be much more easily able to pull in colder air from outside, as it's going to keep that filter separate from the rest of the hot engine bay. You even get some weather stripping in here to seal it off a little bit better too. Now that cooler air, of course, means better combustion. Better combustion also means more power. And since this intake does not require a tune, you can just bolt everything on and enjoy. However, if you do want to make the most out of your intake setup, a custom tune is going to be the way to go, though again, it is not required with this one. Both the heat shield and the intake tube are constructed from high-strength aluminum, and as you can see, the heat shield is finished off with a nice textured black powder coating, so it's going to keep it nice and protected for a long while. While the intake tube is polished to make a really nice visual accent, it's almost a mirror shine, but not quite there. Again, gives you a nice little visual accent, and that polishing means that it's gonna look good under the hood of your truck too. The aluminum construction also means that these are light, they're durable, and they're heat resistant. And again, they're gonna look good and be corrosion free for a long time to come. Like we talked about earlier, that filter is also a multi-layer oil design, so it too is a pretty quality item. It should provide you a nice upgrade versus your stock filter as well. Plus you get a new PCV hose and the connectors and all the clamps included in the setup as well, so everything you need is right here and ready to go. But the best part here, well, that's gonna be the price. Coming in at just about $175, this is one of the least expensive intakes you can get for these trucks. But despite that budget-friendly price tag, you're really getting a good quality item for your money. And as compared to other intakes on the market, especially the less expensive ones, you're gonna feel similar gains in overall performance. So this is gonna be a good option for you regardless, but especially so if your build is a bit more budget focused, and you're really not gonna have to sacrifice anything here either. In fact, about the only thing you will have to sacrifice is some time to get it installed. And as far as that goes, we're gonna give this one an easy 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and you should budget about an hour to get it done. Now, this is a relatively simple installation. It's very straightforward. The intake is accessible. Getting your old one off really doesn't require all that much. And again, you get all the connectors and clamps and the hoses that you need to get this done as well. So enough talking about it. Why don't we go ahead and jump on out to the install bay, and we'll walk you through the process.
The tools we're going to need for this install include an electric or regular 1/4-inch ratchet, a Phillips head screwdriver, a 6, 7, and 8 millimeter swivel socket, and a pair of diagonal cutters. What's up guys? Today we're going to be installing a cold air intake on a Ram, but before we get started you're going to watch a short video on how to uninstall your stock component, and I'll meet you back here for the install.
So our first step to taking off our factory intake is to disconnect our MAF sensor. This is just going to be the plug right on the front of the intake tube there. Just got to press down and pull back on that tab. Right. Then we can wiggle off our PCV hose. What we can do next is loosen up the clamp on the throttle body. I'm going to use an 8mm socket as well as a 1/4" drive ratchet to get that done. Once that's loosened up, what we can do is pull up on the intake tube and remove it from our throttle body. And because our air box is held in by grommets, what we're going to do is pull up on this as well. And then we can start to maneuver our intake out.
All right guys, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove our engine cover. So we're just gonna lift up to pop those tabs out of place. Make sure we slide our PCV line out of the way. Then we can pull this and remove it off. So now we can pull our PCV tube out of the PCV system. And we can set this off to the side. Now we could remove this boot here. So we're just gonna pull up and it'll pop out of place. Set that off to the side. So now we can take our new PCV line that's included in the kit, following with those small clamps that's also included. We're just gonna slide this right over our tube. Set that off to the side. Then we can take a 6mm swivel socket and we can tighten up our clamp. Then we can push this over to the side. Then we'll grab our engine cover and reinstall this. There we go. Want to make sure that this line comes up through that hole. All right guys, so for this specific cold air intake, it reuses the bottom part of the box. So we have to remove this top piece, which is just held in by little clips on the side that you just pull off. And then you can slide this top off. Once all those clips are popped out, all you have to do is slide it away from you. Remove this, along with our factory air filter. And we're just gonna set these off to the side. All right guys, so now we're gonna be assembling our air box for the top part. So we're gonna grab our air filter with that worm clamp on there. Then we're gonna grab this part of the mount. We're gonna slide that in. Then we're going to grab the included 2 Phillips head screws. We're gonna slide this in our air box. You can flip that up. And then those 2 screws that are on the back, we can thread those in from the air box. So as you can see, we got these lined up. We're gonna thread our screws into place. We'll grab our Phillips head screwdriver and we'll tighten these down. Then we can flip our filter over. Then we can come back up to our worm clamp and we're gonna tighten that up with our 8mm swivel socket. So next we're gonna grab our new top half of the air box. We're gonna put that onto the old part of the bottom. So we're gonna have these lines here slide into the notches on the side of the air box. Like so. It's gonna slide into place, and then you can grab those clamps and clip them over to hold the top part down. Just like so. These might be a little tricky. So it might be a little difficult, but you can put it on the side and press down to compress the boxes together. And you can slide that clamp over. So now we can take our intake coupler and a larger worm clamp. We're gonna slide that over the coupler. So, and then we're gonna slide this over our air filter adapter. Then we can grab a 7mm swivel socket and lightly tighten this one up. So now we're going to install the weather stripping that goes on top of our airbox. So we're going to start with the end here. And we're just going to press this on and go down the line. Make sure we have that firmly in place. Just going to twist that. Now once we get to the end here, we can grab a pair of diagonal cutters to cut off the excess. All right, so now we can get this airbox onto the vehicle. So now we can set our airbox into its original location. So we're gonna slide that air duct under that line here. And we're gonna line those studs up in the rubber grommets. Both sides, make sure that air duct is in there nice. All right guys, so the first step we need to do is we have to swap over our mass airflow sensor over to our new intake tube. So what we gotta do here is we're going to twist to your left, and all you have to do is then remove, pull out. Then we can grab this rubber grommet here. We're gonna put it in this hole. So these slots here are gonna go inside that metal. Put that nice in there. And all we have to do with this part is just slide it in until it hits that middle groove. There we go. Now we can take our intake tube and we're gonna slide this into our coupler here. Just gonna slide that in. Bring that clamp back up here. Now we're gonna tighten this down with a 7mm swivel socket. We're not gonna tighten this down fully yet until we have everything set in place. Now while we're here, we can connect our mass airflow sensor. That's just gonna slide in until you hear click. Now we can slide our other worm clamp over, our coupler. Slide our intake tube. Got to slide that in there. Bring our clamp up. Snug this up with our 7mm swivel socket. So now we can grab our new PCV line and our new small worm clamp. We're going to slide that clamp over our line. Like so. Remove that cover. Now we can plug this in to our intake pipe. I need to push that clamp down a little bit farther. Just gotta wiggle that on there. You might need to loosen your clamp up a little bit. Don't want to go too far. There we go. Then we get tightened up with our 6mm swivel socket. Now we can go back through and tighten up all of our clamps. So that's going to wrap up the review and install on our Red Rock cold air intake in black for your 09 to 18 5.7 liter Ram 1500. Thanks for watching, and for all things Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.